So as a result of that, I want to share with you, we must have a compass. If we are going on a journey educationally, it's important to have a compass to know the direction we're going in. Because without a careful compass, we can end up anywhere. Anyway. And here in the Bahamas, as I know, as I said, more than 2 decades ago, I know that there were the same kinds of issues. They probably have increased tremendously. But how do we face these challenges? We've got to have a clear vision. A vision that enables us to be able to solve problems and ensure that the problems we solve are sustainable. Because one of the issues in our educational enterprise is that we use a band-aid approach for everything. We have a problem, we don't study the problem carefully, determine root cause of that problem, and then align the appropriate strategy or intervention to be able to solve that. So that the problem once solved is sustainable over time. If it's not sustainable, then we have to solve it. And it has to be contextualized. I want to just say before around that. Something that you take from a different environment into this new environment will only work as best as it is contextualized. Every environment has different circumstances, and that's why context matters. One program that works well in a school might not work as well in another school if you do not understand the context. The context has many variables. The teacher brings a whole set of variables. The student brings a set of variables. The leadership brings a set of variables. The climate and conditions in the school have a set of variables. Policies may cause enhancement or restriction. And so you've got to take a very systemic approach to the way to handle problems and how to solve them. So I want to start out by sharing with you these 6 overarching principles by which to look at these issues as you talk about ensuring that kids who enter through kindergarten are ready for kindergarten. That's where it has to start. Then we've got to make certain that we sustain and build on that all the way through high school so that they're ready for post-secondary opportunities, whether that be college or that be the world of work. In the state of Florida, they passed a law several years ago which makes it mandatory that a student cannot be promoted to the 4th grade unless they're reading on grade level. It's a mandatory law. We look at it differently, different perspective around it. But the principle, I think everybody can agree with. The principle. The principle is that if by 3rd grade a student is not functionally literate in being able to access curriculum and understand it, it's very, very, very difficult as they go along. Why? The weight of the curriculum gets heavier. And it's like walking up a hill with a boulder on your back, and very shortly you will not only check out, you're going to do what? Drop out. That's the reality. Not only in the Bahamas, it's in America, it's in Europe. We're dealing with the same challenges. Having high expectation in every classroom is critical. Teachers, administrators, students, and parents. Determining common language as a profession by which we have conversation and carry out that enterprise of education. When you have too many variables, this is a challenging issue. When you have too many variables at play in the educational enterprise, let's say for example curriculum. Curriculum should be clearly defined. What kids ought to know and be able to do within every grade group needs to be clearly defined and should not be a guesswork and should not be left up to individual teachers. When you have that kind of a variability, where there is so much variability, it's hard to determine what's working and what's not. What's giving you the achievement and what's not. And therefore you cannot replicate it. You can't replicate it. It's hard to support because there are multiple things at play at the same time. So I want to hopefully share with you a couple of things that we're doing, and it's not perfect, but at least we're on the path, we believe, to be able to accomplish some of the goals that we set out for that system. And so setting a clear vision is important. Not only common language, but common methodologies, our approaches to teaching and learning. So that, I don't know here in the Bahamas right now, because when I was here, we didn't have so much of it. Mobility is a serious challenge for us in Florida. Because of the economy, people moving from one place to the other. Now in Nassau, they can only go to their family island and back, and probably back and forth. But even intra-mobility between schools. And if you don't have a set approach and curriculum, then as kids move from one place to the other, then what do you end up of possibility of getting? Gaps in their learning. And nobody's attending to the gaps. So guess what I'm doing? The gap gets wider and wider and wider, so big so that they fall through the gap. They fall through it. So systematizing your approach in education from a curriculum level, from an approach to instruction, systematize it with regards to resources so that you can optimize, and in these tight budget years that we're all encountering, you want to make certain that you have a way to systematize the resources so that you can leverage the efficacy of those resources, the power of those resources.